That's pretty close.
Almost. Gotta get one part done here and we'll be all set.
Stuck together.
Yeah, everything.
Okay. Like to thank you all for attending the Committee of Adjustment meeting, and I'd like to remind everyone as we get underway that this meeting is in person and online through Zoom and is being recorded. Everyone online will be muted with the exception of the committee members and staff. All comments and questions are to be directed through the chair from committee members, staff, and the public. I'd like to remind committee members that you must speak into your microphone so everyone online and in person can hear you. For those attendees that are online, your video picture will not be displayed. You will be muted and will not be able to unmute yourself during an application that you are not requested to attend unless you raise your hand. At the beginning of each application, I will call the application forward. The owner or applicant in attendance may come to the table to your right to speak with the committee. This microphone is live and you must speak into the microphone to be heard. If the owner or applicant is online, you will be unmuted. Committee will ask for comments from the public during each application. Please provide your name and address for the public record. All comments and questions should be directed to the chair and only speak when it is your turn. If you're in person and would like to speak to an application one at a time, you may approach the podium and speak. This microphone will be live. If you're on the video portion of the Zoom meeting and you'd like to speak and your microphone is muted, please click on the raise hand button located on the bottom of your screen. Staff will notify me that you wish to speak. If you are attending by telephone and you wish to speak, please dial *9 to raise your hand, which will signal staff that you wish to speak. Once a decision has been made concerning your application, you are welcome to leave the hearing while the committee continues with the next application. Members in attendance today are Bruce Craig, Catherine Graham, Paul Veenstra, Todd Robertson, and myself, Jim Keogh. Our staff in attendance are Senior Planner Lindsay Lambert, Planner Kyle Peel, and Secretary Treasurer Amanda Warner McKellar. First item on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda. Do any committee members have any changes they wish to make?
None here.
No.
No.
No, sir.
Yeah, we need a mover and a seconder to approve that. Moved by Catherine, seconded by Paul. Been moved by Catherine, seconded by Paul, that the agenda be adopted as circulated. All in favor?
Yes.
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 I am also carried. The second item on the agenda is the adoption of the minutes from our June 25th, 24 meeting. And do any committee members have any changes or suggestions?
None here.
No.
No.
No, sir.
Nor do I. So we need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Todd. Seconded by Bruce.
Second by Bruce.
Been moved by Todd, seconded by Bruce, that the minutes of the June 25th, 24 hearing of the committee adjustment be adopted as circulated. All in favor?
Yes.
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 And I am also carried. So third item is a declaration of interest. Do any committee members have a declaration of interest, pecuniary or otherwise, on any of the ones before us today?
I have none.
Catherine has none.
No.
None here.
Nor do I. Okay, first application today is D14-2024-030-802 Heron Lane. Amanda, do you want to give us your?
Yes, and if the owner is available, they want to come to the table, they're welcome to. So the application is requesting variances to the township zoning bylaw to permit an existing accessory structure, a gazebo, and a raised wooden walkway. The accessory structure and raised walkway were constructed prior to obtaining the necessary planning and building approvals and are located within the minimum required 30-meter setback from the high water mark of Gananoque Lake.
Okay, thank you. Kyle, do you want to give us the township's take on this?
Thank you, Chair, and through you. So as noted by Amanda, this application is seeking relief from the required 30-meter setback to permit a gazebo and a raised wooden walkway structure within the required 30-meter setback. The proposed structures are to be set back at 23 meters for the gazebo and 25 meters for the walkway, so just shy of meeting the required 30-meter setback. Ultimately, staff have no concerns with the request, and the application has been found to be consistent with the applicable policies and regulations of the land use planning documents. Furthermore, the CRCA have indicated no concerns with the proposal based on their consideration of natural hazards. As such, planning staff recommend approval of this application per the details and conditions enclosed within the staff report. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Kyle. Amanda, have we any public comments that you received?
Yes, we received comments from the Conservation Authority with no objections. And we received comments from Barbara and David Holzhauer, neighbors with no objections, Thomas and Genevieve Lindeman, neighbors with no objections, and Steve and Sherry Hampton, neighbors with no objections. And we've not received any further written comments.
Okay, thanks, Amanda. Is there anyone in attendance in the audience that wishes to speak to the application?
We have no one online and no one in the audience looking to speak to the application.
Okay, committee members, have you any questions about this application?
No, I have no questions. It does come closer to the water than the existing structure, but it looks quite nice, and I don't believe it to have any negative impact, so I'm good with it.
Catherine?
I have no questions or concerns.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have no concerns.
Bob?
None on this end.
Nor do I. Yeah. Okay, we need a motion to move forward on this, folks.
Bruce will,
Moved by
Move.
Bruce, seconded by
Catherine.
Catherine. Moved by Bruce, seconded by Catherine, that application D13-2024-030 be approved, subject to conditions as included in the planner's report and decision of the committee. So we need a mover. Yep. Yeah, all in favor. Bruce, all in favor?
yes.
Catherine, yes.
Yes.
Todd, yes.
And I am also. Carried. Okay. So next on our agenda today is D14-2024-031-167 Stelton Road. Amanda, do you want to see if the applicant's here or whatever?
Yes, if anybody's here to represent, you're welcome to come to the table. So we'll start with the application's permission to expand the existing dwelling by enclosing an existing deck to create a screened-in porch and adding additional attached uncovered decking to the existing dwelling. The existing dwelling and attached uncovered decking are legal non-complying structures that do not comply with the minimum required 30-meter setback from the high water mark of an existing water course that traverses the subject property.
Okay, Kyle, no, Lindsay, you want to give us the township's take on this?
Thank you, Chair, and through you. So as noted by Amanda, the application involves a request for permission to facilitate the construction of an enclosed porch within the footprint of an existing attached deck. as well as the construction of additional attached uncovered decking. So the proposal, in terms of new development, it's not encroaching within the established setback of the development on the property in relation to the existing water course. Staff have found no land use incompatibility issues with the proposal. The CRCA has reviewed the proposal and indicated no concerns from a natural hazards perspective. Comments have been received from neighboring property owners indicating support for the application. The application has been assessed and to be consistent with the applicable land use policies of the township's land use planning documents. And therefore, in summary, planning staff are recommending approval of this application with the details and conditions enclosed within the staff report. Thank you.
Thanks, Lindsay. Amanda, are there any other public comments that have been received?
Yes, we received comments from the Conservation Authority with no objections, and comments from Rob and Tiffany Tamlin, neighbors, with no objections.
Okay, thanks, Amanda. Committee members, do you have any questions for the applicant?
I have no concerns with this application.
Oh, sorry, I guess I'm supposed to ask it. Anybody in the public wanted to comment on this first?
We have no one online and no one in the audience looking to speak to the application.
So, Bruce, any questions for the applicant?
No, same as before.
Likewise, I have no questions.
No,
Just a comment, maybe I was the first one there, I don't know, but the staking, I had to spend a little bit of time and refer to the plan, but I think I did get a gist of where things were going. So based on that, more on the submission than the actual staking on the site at time, I have no concerns.
Thanks, Todd. Nor do I. So we need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Paul, seconded by Todd. That application D13-2024-031 be approved, subject to conditions as included in the planner's report and the decision of the committee. We're ready to vote.
Bruce, yes?
Catherine, yes.
yes,
Yes.
And I am also carried. So next on our list is D14-2024-032-104A Thousand Island Parkway. Amanda, can you confirm if the applicant's here or whatever? Read the purpose.
Yes, the applicant is here. She's just making her way to the table. So I will read the purpose. The application is requesting zoning relief from the institutional special exception 1 zone of the zoning bylaw through a minor variance application to facilitate the addition of 4 new life lease residential habitation units.
Okay, thank you, Amanda. Kyle. No, I'm wrong. Lindsay.
Thank you, Chair, and through you. So as noted, the application is requesting zoning relief through a minor variance from the maximum number of life lease residential units in the institutional special exception 1 zone of the township zoning bylaw. The I-1 zone currently permits a maximum of 20 units, and the application proposes to increase the maximum to 24 units, and this would facilitate the addition of 4 life lease residential habitation units to the property. So in reviewing the application, it has been found to comply with all other zoning requirements, including the minimum 30-meter setback from the adjacent wetland, which is a site-specific provision of the I-1 zone. The St. Lawrence Parks Commission and CRCA have reviewed the application and have responded indicating no objections. No comments have been received from members of the public. The staff are in receipt of updated correspondence from the Ministry of Transportation confirming that the proposal does not require a permit from the MTO. The proposal will require an application to modify the existing site plan control agreement that applies to the property, and that will include an amendment to the responsibility agreement for the septic system on the property. The proposal has received an ECA approval from the Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks. And in summary, the application is an opportunity to increase the housing supply and housing options within the township on an underutilized property. No land use incompatibilities are anticipated. The proposal is consistent with the applicable land use policies of the township's planning documents, and The application is recommended for approval with the conditions and details enclosed within the staff report. Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks, Lindy. Amanda, any public comments?
Yes, received comments from the Conservation Authority with no objections. We received comments from the Ministry of Transportation, just indicating that ministry approvals and permits are required prior to construction, and noted that access to the 4-1 will not be permitted under any circumstances. And comments from the St. Lawrence Parks Commission requested confirmation of the setback distances from any auxiliary structures and or dwellings on the northeastern edge of the proposed development. And that is all the written comments we have received.
Thanks, Amanda. Is there anybody in the audience that wishes to speak to this application?
We have no one online and no one in the audience looking to speak to the application.
Okay, committee members, any questions for the applicant?
I would be a very unpopular person if I had any negative comments about this development. They're much needed in the community, and so I'm very good with it.
Catherine?
The same. I do note that the opportunity for natural habitat retention has been cited by the Conservation Authority, and based on the record of the current proprietor, I think that we have a lot of faith that that will happen. So I have no objections.
Very good, Paul.
Yeah, no, I have no concerns.
Todd?
I applaud the use of the land for the under usage and the need in the community. I don't quite understand, maybe through you, Chair, to Ms. Lambert, the St. Lawrence Parks Commission comments around, sorry, and I'll have to pull them back, setback distances. Do those, like, at what point in the process do those occur? I guess that the permitting process after approval at this committee and prior to building permits, is that how that all kind of flows?
Through you, Chair. So there was some additional back and forth between staff and the St. Lawrence Parks Commission to clarify that the setbacks from the St. Lawrence Parks Commission property were noted on the submitted plot plan with the application, and those are further reviewed by the St. Lawrence Parks Commission staff. And staff did receive comments back indicating no objections and no permits required. The commission may have additional comments through the site plan control application through the detailed design of the proposal. But as it stands with this current application, they have no objections.
Perfect. Thank you. Exactly what we wanted to hear. I have nothing further.
Thanks, Todd. No, I have no objection. I guess it's, with the look of people with gray hair like me, it's probably going to be needed. So no objection. Now we need a mover and a seconder to move this along. Catherine and Todd. Yep. Moved by Catherine and Todd that application D13-2024-032 be approved, subject to the conditions as included in the planner's report and decision of the committee. Ready to vote?
Bruce, yes.
Catherine, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
And I am also carried.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda today is D14-2024-033 64 Cherry Point Road. Amanda, wanna give us your take on this?
Yes, the application is requesting zoning relief from the zoning bylaw to facilitate the development of a two-story addition to an existing legal non-complying dwelling. The proposed addition does not meet the minimum required 7.5 meter rear yard setback of the shoreline residential zone and is non-compliant with the minimum required 10 meter setback from the adjacent private right-of-way. The existing dwelling is a non-complying structure that does not meet the required 30 meter setback from the St. Lawrence River and the minimum required 30 meter front yard setback of the shoreline residential zone. However, the proposed addition is set to occur outside the minimum required 30 meter water and front yard setback.
Okay, Kyle, do you want to give us the township's recommendation?
Thank you, Chair, and through you. As noted, the applicant is seeking relief to permit an addition to the existing dwelling. The relief is required for the minimum setback from the 10 meters from the edge of a private right-of-way and the 7.5 meter requirement for a rear yard setback. Ultimately, the relief required is relatively small. They are requesting 0.6 meters from the edge of the right-of-way and 1.1 meters from the rear yard. Further, this is a constrained lot, and it is the interpretation of staff that this is efficient use of the constrained lot. There are no anticipated impacts to the private right-of-way as a result of this development, and the development does not go any closer to the water than existing. As such, the application has been found to be consistent with the applicable policies and regulations of the land use planning documents. Further, the CRCA have indicated no concerns based on their consideration of natural hazards. As such, planning staff recommend approval of this application per the details and conditions contained within the staff report. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Kyle. Amanda, any public comments?
Yes, we received comments from the Conservation Authority with no objections and no further written public comments.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak to the application?
We have no one online and no one in the audience looking to speak to the application.
Okay, committee members, any questions to the applicant?
I have no questions or concerns. It's truly a minor in nature, and so I'm good to go.
Catherine?
I'm fine.
Paul?
Nope.
Todd?
I concur, the epitome of a minor variance, no concerns.
You bet. I feel the same way. Okay, we need a mover and a seconder.
Bruce will move.
Moved by Bruce, seconded by Paul. Moved by Bruce, seconded by Paul, that application D13-2024-033 be approved, subject conditions as included in the planner's report and the decision of the committee. And we're ready to vote.
Bruce, yes.
Catherine, yes?
Yep. Yes.
Todd, yes.
And I am also carried. So next is D13-2024-034-951 Burma Lane. Amanda, do you want?
Yes, okay. Sorry, 1 second here. Okay, so the application is requesting a permission to expand the existing uncovered decking that is attached to the existing dwelling on the property. The existing dwelling and attached uncovered decking are legal non-complying structures that do not comply with the minimum 30-meter setback from the high water mark of Charleston Lake and the minimum 30-meter front yard setback of the shoreline residential zone. The proposed decking will connect 2 existing sections of decking.
Thanks, Amanda. Lindsay, do you want to?
Thank you, Chair, and through you. So this application consists of a request for permission to add 9.61 square meters of attached decking on the southeast side of the existing dwelling. And this proposal will allow for a functional connection between 2 existing areas of attached decking. The proposed development is not projecting any closer to the high water mark of Charleston Lake compared to existing development. The proposed development doesn't impact the total lot coverage calculation of the property, as the proposed attached decking is to be uncovered. Comments have been received from a neighboring property owner indicating support for the application. The Conservation Authority has noted no concerns from a natural hazards perspective. And in summary, the development's been found to be consistent with the applicable policies of the township's land use planning documents, and therefore staff are recommending approval of the application subject to the details and conditions within the staff report. Thank you.
Thanks, Lindsay. Amanda, any public comments received?
Yes, we received comments from the Conservation Authority with no objections and comments from Bob and Sheila Tamblin, neighbors, with no objections.
Okay, thanks, Amanda. Is there anyone in the audience in attendance that wishes to speak to this application?
We have no one online and no one in the audience looking to speak to the application.
Okay, thanks, Amanda. Ready for comments here, Bruce? Any questions?
Yes, this application seems like a very logical application. If nothing else, it provides a means of egress in case of emergency, and kind of very minimum in what the ask is. So I'm good with it.
Thanks, Bruce. Catherine?
I have no comments or concerns.
Yeah, as well. I have no concerns.
Todd?
Yeah, I agree with Bruce, so no
Yeah.
concerns, no further questions.
I'm good too. So we need a mover and a seconder. Okay, Todd and Catherine, I guess. Moved by Todd, seconded by Catherine, that application D13-2024-034 be approved, subject to conditions as included in the planner's report and decision of the committee. And we're ready to vote.
Bruce, yes.
Catherine, yes.
Yes.
Yes,
I am also carried. Yeah. Next on our agenda is D14-2024-035 803 Straw Hill Lane. Amanda. do you want-
Yes, and the owner is online if you have questions. So the application is requesting permission to expand an existing legal non-complying single detached dwelling with a single-story addition to the south side. The existing dwelling is a non-complying structure that does not meet the minimum required 30-meter setback from the high watermark of Whitefish Lake and the minimum required 30-meter front yard setback of the shoreline residential zone. Further, the application is requesting zoning relief to permit an existing accessory structure, an electric sauna, and an attached deck. The accessory structure and attached deck are constructed prior to obtaining the necessary planning and building approvals and are located within the minimum required 30-meter setback from the high watermark of Whitefish Lake and the minimum required 30-meter front yard setback of the shoreline residential zone.
Thanks, Amanda. Kyle. It's your
Thank you,
recommendation.
Chair. Thank you, Chair, and through you. So as noted by Amanda, the applicant is seeking both a permission and a variance. The variance is for the electric sauna with an attached deck, and the permission is for an addition to the existing structure. Of note, the addition to the existing structure is set to occur on the water side. However, due to the configuration of the lot, development will be no closer than existing at a setback of 10 meters. As such, the application has been found to be consistent with the applicable policies and regulations of the land use planning documents of the township. The CRCA have indicated no concerns. They have indicated that the electric sauna is outside of the floodplain and meets the required setbacks. As such, planning staff recommend approval of this application per the details and conditions enclosed within the staff report. Thank you.
Thanks, Kyle. Amanda, any public comments?
Yes, we received comments from the Conservation Authority with no objections, and we've not received any further public written comments.
Thanks, Amanda. Is there anyone in attendance in the audience that wishes to speak to this application?
We have no one online and no one in the audience looking to speak to the application.
Committee members, do you want to have any questions for the applicant? Bruce, start.
No, I have no questions or concerns. I'm good.
Catherine.
Likewise.
Paul.
No.
Todd.
no, none here. Seems like a very effective solution being proposed.
And I concur. So need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Catherine, seconded by Paul. That application D13-2024-035 be approved, subject to conditions as included in the planner's report and the decision of the committee, and we're ready to vote.
Yes, sure.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
And I'm also carried. So next on our agenda is D14-2024-036. 92 Greer Point Lane. Amanda, do you want to confirm if they're here and read the purpose of the application, please?
Yes, we have the agent in attendance today. So the purpose, the Committee of Adjustment previously approved the expansion of a legal non-complying structure on May 28th, 2024. At the building permit stage, a crawl space was included, bringing the total proposed height at 8.5 meters, whereas the maximum height noted on the application and decision was 6.9 meters. The application is requesting a permission for the expansion of an existing legal non-complying dwelling The proposed expansion will entail the demolition of the existing dwelling and its replacement with a new dwelling and covered front deck with an increase in floor area and height, as well as an expansion of the uncovered attached deck. The existing dwelling is approximately 68.4 square meters and approximately 6.1 meters in height, and the proposed dwelling is approximately 95.6 square meters and approximately 8.5 meters in height. The existing uncovered attached deck is approximately 46.6 square meters, and the proposed additional attached uncovered decking is approximately 14.7 square meters. The existing dwelling is legal non-compliant with respect to the minimum 30-meter setback from Charleston Lake, the minimum front yard setback of the shoreline residential zone, and the minimum 10-meter setback from a private right-of-way.
Thank you, Amanda. Lindsay, you want to give us the township's
Thank you, Chair.
recommendation?
And through you, so the proposed height of this development has been updated and clarified, and therefore it's necessary to bring the proposal back to the committee to reflect the updated expansion and height of the dwelling. The application is requesting approval to permit an expanded maximum height of 8.5 meters for the legal non-complying dwelling. The updated proposed height remains compliant with the maximum height provision of the shoreline residential zone. Staff are in receipt of comments from a neighboring property owner noting support of the application. No concerns were identified by the relevant external agencies who were circulated for review and comments on the application, and therefore staff are recommending approval in accordance with the conditions of the staff report prepared for the committee's consideration. Thank you.
Thanks, Lindsay. Amanda, any other public comments?
Yes, received comments from the Conservation Authority with no objections, and received comments from Russell and Brenda Bennett, neighbors, with no objections, and received comments from the Charleston Lake Environmental Association questioning the proposed lot coverage calculation and encourage the implementation of prudent decision-making regarding the redevelopment of lots on Charleston Lake, as well as measures to protect the ecological integrity of sensitive nearshore areas. And that's all the written comments we have received.
Okay, thanks, Amanda. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak to the application?
We have no one online and no one in the audience looking to speak to the application.
Thanks, Amanda. Committee members, you have any questions for the applicant?
No, I have no concerns.
I have no concerns either. I'd just like to clarify with the clerk, did we receive comments from the Charleston Lake Association when the previous application was made? You recall?
I believe we did. Yes.
Paul?
Yeah, no, I have no concerns.
I have no concerns. I'll speak to the last matter regarding the letter submitted, looks like late yesterday, from the Charleston Lake Environmental Association around lot coverage. And I think in my mind, when I read that, without speaking to the specifics, which I would leave to the township and the experts, my recollection from this application is it's further back from the environmentally sensitive areas that are being referred to in this email, that the actual setback from the cottage from the waterway is going to be further than the current structure. So therefore, I think some of the concerns expressed here have already been addressed. I don't know if there's anything additional through you, Chair, that the township can provide.
Anything on that, Lindsay?
Through you, Chair, staff were able to provide clarification to the Charleston Lake Environmental Association this morning through a response to their comments. The lot coverage calculation for this property with the proposal is less than 10%. I think the association was calculating the lot coverage based on gross floor area as opposed to ground floor area of the structures. And so just want to clarify that for the committee that the lot coverage is not an issue with this proposal. It's compliant with the shoreline residential zone.
Thanks. Okay, Don?
Oh, it's much appreciated. Thank you.
Okay, and I have no objection. So we need a mover and a seconder to move this along.
Bruce will move.
Bruce and Todd? Moved by Bruce, seconded by Todd, that application D13-2024-036 be approved subject to conditions as included in the planner's report and the decision of the committee. We're ready to vote.
Yes.
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 And I am also carried. Okay. Next is D14-2024-037162 Hill Island East. Amanda, do you want to confirm and read the purpose, please?
The application is requesting a permission to expand an existing legal non-complying single detached dwelling with a single-story addition on the south side. The existing dwelling is a non-complying structure that does not meet the minimum required 30-meter setback from the high water mark of the St. Lawrence River and the minimum required 30-meter setback for the front yard for the island residential zone.
Hey, thank you, Kyle.
Thank you, Chair, and through you. So as noted, the applicant is seeking permission to expand the existing legal non-complying dwelling with an addition on the south side of the structure. Of note, the existing structure is set back approximately 13 meters from the water, whereas the proposed addition is set back 20 meters. So the development is sufficiently set back as compared to the closest point of development. Further, lot coverage is not proposed to be exceeded through this application. Ultimately, staff have no concerns with this application, and it has been found to be consistent with the applicable policies and regulations of the land use planning documents. Further, the CRCA have submitted no concerns based on their consideration of natural hazards. As such, planning staff recommend approval of this application per the details and conditions enclosed within the staff report. Thank you.
Yep, thanks, Kyle. Amanda, any public comments received?
We just received the comments from the Conservation Authority with no objections, and we've not received any further written public comments.
Okay, thank you, Amanda. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak to this application today?
We have no one online and no one in the audience looking to speak to the application.
Committee members, any questions for the applicant or?
No, I have no concerns. As Kyle stated, the proposed addition is further from the water than the existing cottage, so I'm good to go with this.
Catherine?
I'm fine.
Paul?
None here.
Todd?
No concerns.
Me neither. So we need mover and a seconder to move by Catherine, seconded by Paul. That application D13-2024-037 be approved, subject to conditions as included in the planner's report and the decision of the committee, and we're ready to vote.
Yes.
Catherine, yes.
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 And I am also carried. Next on the agenda is the next door neighbor, which is D13-2024-038-158 Hill Island East. Amanda, do you want to confirm if they're here and read the purpose of the application, please?
Yes, we have the agent online if you have questions. So the purpose, one second, just have to switch it here. The application is requesting a permission to facilitate an addition to the enclosed floor area and additional attached uncovered decking to the existing dwelling. The existing dwelling is a legal non-complying structure that does not comply with the minimum 30-meter setback from the high water mark of the St. Lawrence River and the minimum 30-meter setback of the island residential zone. And that's it. Sorry.
Okay, thanks, Amanda. Lindsay, do you want to read the recommendation record, please?
Thank you, Chair, and through you. So this proposal involves an improved setback of development from the high water mark of the St. Lawrence River and the removal of a significant amount of ramps, stairs, and landings from the area between the dwelling and the river. Overall, staff view this as a net improvement from the perspectives of the visual impact within the Thousand Islands Special Policy Area in terms of land use compatibility, water quality, and natural hazards. Although the lot coverage is increasing to 12.6%, the proposed development is in appropriate proportion to the property and is consistent with the built form of other island properties in the area. The proposed side yards and rear yard are compliant with the minimum requirements of the island residential zone. No concerns were raised by external agencies consulted on this application. No comments have been received from the public. And in summary, the application is consistent with the applicable policies of the township's land use planning documents and is recommended for approval in accordance with the conditions and details enclosed within the staff report. Thank you.
Yep, thanks, Lindsay. Amanda, any public comments received?
We received comments from the Conservation Authority with no objections and no further written public comments.
Thanks, Amanda. Is there anyone in attendance in the audience that wishes to speak to the application?
We have no one online and no one in the audience looking to speak to the application.
Okay, committee members, do you wish to ask the applicant any questions?
No, I have no concerns with this application.
Catherine?
Seems to me to be an improvement.
Paul?
Yeah, no concerns.
No, I applaud the cleanup of the maze of ramps and stairs and such, so no concerns.
Yeah, and I kind of agree with Todd. It would be a cleanup, so I have no issues either. So we need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Todd, seconded by Paul. That application D13-2024-038 be approved subject to conditions as included in the planner's report and the decision of the committee.
Bruce, yes.
Catherine, yet?
Yes.
Yes.
And I'm yes, also carried. Cool. Last but not least is D13-2024-039 Whirlpool Island. Amanda, would you read the purpose of the application, please?
Yes, the application is requesting minor variances to reduce the minimum 30-meter setback and front yard setbacks of the island residential zone for an existing sleeping cabin. Of note, the applicant received approval from the Committee of Adjustment at the June 25th meeting to reduce the minimum 30-meter and front yard setbacks for the existing sleeping cabin and to expand the existing legal non-complying marine facility to include a wave attenuator structure and additional support structure for the marine facility. The proposal regarding the existing sleeping cabin has since been altered, and the applicant is seeking approval to further reduce the proposed setback of the sleep cabin.
Thanks, Amanda. Kyle, do you want to give us your recommendations, please?
Thank you, Chair, and through you. So as I'm sure the committee will remember, the subject property, an application was brought forward last month for the subject property for a minor variance to permit a reduction for the sleeping cabin and a permission application for the expansion of the marine facilities. Ultimately, that was approved. However, at the hearing, there was some discussion regarding further reducing the proposed setback, which the committee indicated it was in support of. However, the decision was ultimately approved as presented in the plans and application provided by the applicant. At the building permit stage, it became clear that there was a discrepancy regarding what was approved versus what the applicant understood the approval to entail. Specifically, the applicant was under the impression that the decision had been amended and a reduced setback had been approved. Staff informed him that was not the case, and through consultation with the Director of Planning, it was determined that to permit a further reduced setback, the applicant would have to attend another meeting. As such, the application today proposes to further reduce the proposed setback for the sleeping cabin from 12 meters to the east and 8 meters to the north to 7.6 meters to the east and 6.6 meters to the north. Ultimately, staff have no concerns with the application, and the application has been found to be consistent with the applicable policies and regulations of the land use planning documents. Further, the CRCA have submitted comments noting no concerns based on their consideration of natural hazards. As such, planning staff recommend approval of this application per the details and conditions enclosed within the staff report. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Kyle. Amanda, any public comments?
We've received comments from the Conservation Authority and no further written public comments.
Okay, is there anyone in attendance in the audience that wishes to speak to this application?
We have no one online and no one in the audience looking to speak to the application.
Okay, committee members, any questions for the applicant? Bruce?
No, I'm very good to go with this app.
Catherine?
I'm good to go, but I confess to having a senior's moment. It seems to me at the last meeting, we approved a reduced setback.
Yes.
And so I did not go back and look at the minutes from our last meeting, but that was my understanding, that we had indicated that we were fine with the applicant moving the structure back, I think it was 2 or 4 feet. And that was a change from the original application or from the original report. So I apologize to everyone if I am having a senior's moment, but so be it. I just would like some clarification, I guess, in my muddled brain.
Who would you like to address that to?
Kyle, maybe you could.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're 100% correct. There was a lot of discussion around this application and moving it back, moving it, to different locations. Ultimately, I think it was landed on that there was some discussion about deferring the application or amending the decision as is. And then I think it came to sort of discussion about the season and not deferring it. And I think it was the direction provided that the application be approved as presented. So that's my understanding of sort of where things ended up.
Yes.
Thanks. Through you, just to elaborate on that, we did go back and we rewatched the video. And Kyle's correct, there was absolutely conversation. But the way the discussion went was ultimately when it came down to it, there was discussion about deferring it. The applicant indicated that it's a short season and they just wanted to move ahead. The committee called the question, but didn't amend the recommendation.
Yes, Catherine, sorry.
So does the reapplication require the applicant to pay another $850?
That's correct.
Seems to me in my muddled mind, it's our mistake.
Staff don't have the authority to modify the fee bylaw, so there would have to be a recommendation and a report to council.
So I would like that to be part of our discussion then.
Okay. You mean to reimburse him or?
Well, I mean, he's had to come forward twice. And I will defer to my colleagues since I am having a senior's moment, but if my colleagues have the same recollection that I do, it seems to be rather onerous that the applicant has to pay another $850 to, in a sense, correct a misunderstanding that we left with.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to go back on it. Am I correct? These are filmed, or they're taped?
That's correct. And we rewatched the
Mhm.
video of the meeting.
And I don't think we had the authority to do that, but it was pretty well unanimous, I think, with committee members that we didn't see any reason for him to have to move it at all. And Jeff can correct me again if I'm wrong, but I think there was I don't know what you'd call it, something on the plan there that actually, if it was moved 14 inches, that would have satisfied whatever Cataraqui was asking for. And basically, when he left, I thought that's what he was planning to do. So I don't know how this came about that it was going to have to be moved a lot more. And I'm sure my members here would have something to add to that. Bruce, do you have any recollection there?
Reading the Conservation Authority's report, Emily Sue seemed to be apologizing for her misunderstanding, if I remember it roughly correctly. So how does that enter into it? Like, obviously, Conservation Authority had a senior moment too.
I'm going to ask for Paul. Do you have anything you want to throw in here?
No, I had the same understanding, like something like 20 inches.
Yeah.
And I feel the same way as Catherine as well about the unnecessary fee.
Todd?
In the absence of rewatching the video, my recollection is similar to what you've articulated in that there was a lot of discussion back and forth. I think I even made some sort of suggestion around a contingent approval based on something to do with the Conservation Authority. And we left it that sorry, we were advised that wasn't possible or legal, and we left it that we would approve what was submitted. You know, as far as that recollection goes, I have absolutely no concerns with whatever is needed to move this forward at this point. With respect to the fees, I would defer to my colleagues and you know, their opinions on that. I must admit, this being still my first year, I'm not quite as familiar with fee structures and protocols. Though from a common sense perspective, to pay repeatedly for the same application, if it could be avoided, that would be the best case scenario.
But I'm just gonna kick in here. I think the conservation's job, whatever, is to do the least damage. And after being out there, and I have quite a bit of building experience, if it come down to that it was only moving at 14 inches, be it 14 or 24, having to go in there and put in extra sonotubes and disturbing more things for something that, in all reality, if the water gets high enough to hit there, we're going to be getting our feet wet here. Like it seemed like a real stretch. I had no idea why they wanted it moved in the first place. I'm just adding that in, but yes.
Thank you. Just to build on that a little bit, when we're reviewing an application as planners, we're looking at it as though the structure is not there. So notwithstanding the fact that it's there and it was built without a permit, we have to look at it as though the structure isn't there. So when we're doing that, we're looking at the provincial policy statement. We're looking at our official plan policies that say any structure should be set back as far as possible to meet the intent of the provincial policy statement outside of natural hazard areas and those types of things. So it was also a recommendation of staff in dealing with the applicant through the process that that structure be pushed back as far as possible, which is why when the report came forward, the recommendation
Yes.
is as it was. And so just procedurally to talk about how this happened, the recommendation that was on the floor was the recommendation that was in the report based on the drawing that was provided by the applicant.
Yes.
So the committee had all of the discussion and are entitled to make the recommendation that the committee feels is appropriate to make. However, the recommendation on the floor was the one that was in the staff, was recommended by staff. So procedurally, what the committee would have needed to do before voting on it was move a motion to amend the recommendation as presented to include the numbers or the setbacks that were proposed by the Conservation Authority. So it's just for future reference in terms of when a situation such as this arises, procedurally, that would be the way to address it. Then you would be voting on the amendment to the resolution, and then you'd be voting on the amended resolution. So it's procedural is what we're really talking about here.
Bruce. Then Catherine.
I seem to recall the Conservation Authority's problem with it was partially in the floodplain, and might add the Conservation Authority did not attend the site, and those of us who did would note that the bunkie is several feet above the water level. So I'm wondering, you know, why we're here at all.
Catherine.
Well, I certainly accept your interpretation of procedure, so that's just fine. I understand, and I think that that's really important for us to note. It, in a way, reinforces, I think, the legitimacy of refunding the applicant's second payment. If it was our mistake.
Paul.
Yeah, no, I agree with Catherine.
Todd?
Nothing else to add.
I guess I haven't either, other than we can't change it now, but I wish Emily had been out there, and I would have loved to have been there with her and just had a face-to-face discussion and say, can you please explain to me how this is improving anything? That's, I guess, from a practical standpoint, that's what bothered me. You know, like it wasn't like if she went in, you went up 2 feet. It's pretty well level there, and he has it on sonotubes, which is a good reason for all of us in the future. And I think from talking to the applicant, he was under the impression, and also I was, and I spoke to Kyle, that if it was under, it used to be 100 square feet. I think with metric, it's 108. Have I got that right? 106. But if it's a sleeping deal, then it's different. Have I got that right? Like, I mean, if it was just a storage shed at a.
Partially, no. A storage shed is required to be set back 30 meters from the high water mark,
Yeah.
as well as 6 meters from the flood hazard. So regardless of
Mhm.
whether it's a sleeping cabin, a storage shed,
Yeah.
it still has to meet the required setbacks of the zoning bylaw. If it's an accessory building associated with a residential use, then it's exempt. I can't remember it's like a
Used to-
10 by 15. It's
Well, I
bigger.
think they've increased it
Yes,
now.
they
Actually,
have
it used,
increased it
used to
now.
be, 100 square feet.
I
but-
think it's 150. It's bigger than that now. But if it's a sleeping cabin, regardless, it always requires a building
Yes.
permit and it's
That's
required to
what-
meet the setbacks of the zoning bylaw.
The only thing on the setbacks, and I didn't step it across the island. There's no place on that island. I don't think it's 90 or 36, 60 meters wide, shore to shore. There is no place you could meet it.
There's
But-
not, so any structure would require a minor variance on that
Yes.
property.
Okay, good enough. So, anything else, Catherine?
No, excuse me, I just didn't be very clear.
Yep.
See, we may need two motions, one with respect to a recommendation to council to cancel the applicant's second payment. If people are agreed with that.
So, Bruce, agree? Paul? Paul?
With the assertion that we need two separate motions, yes, I agree.
Okay, yes, I am, yes,
Lindsay would like to speak.
Lindsay.
Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to offer some clarification through you,
Yes.
Chair, on the Conservation Authority's comments on the original application.
Mhm.
So they would have measured and located the regulatory floodplain on the property as well as the erosion hazard location
Mhm.
of the property. And their policy and regulation requires a minimum setback of 6 meters from each of those hazards.
Yes,
And so that 6 meters is the additional distance that they were requiring for the bunkie setback. So it's the erosion and the floodplain are located much closer to the shoreline, but they require a minimum setback of 6 meters,
yes.
which pushed the bunkie back to where they were recommending, just
Okay.
to, as clarification in terms of their policy.
So I'm gonna make one comment here and maybe the applicant can answer this then. So is the Conservation Authority satisfied with it moved back? It was in my memory, it was 14 inches was talked about. But if it's 14 or 24, is that what's okay with the township and everybody?
Yeah, the application in front of you today is for the minimum required setback for the CRCA. So that they've clarified that they would permit the structure as approved today.
Okay, but is what I'm saying, I haven't got all the stuff in front of me, you're drawing in that, but is that basically moving it back 14 inches to 24 somewhere in that?
I believe so, yes. Yeah.
I just
It's- it's
want that clear. Yes.
It's exactly 14 inches on
That's-
total station
Yeah,
GPS.
that's what I remember. There was something, I don't know, you had to get some, whether it's GPS markers or something.
I think with the tape measure, when we originally measured it,
Yes.
it was 2 feet or 2.5 feet. And that's what we give them the measurement. And that's what they commented in their very first letter.
Okay,
And which is since we station pointed and with total station and GPS, it measures exactly 14 inches, which has been completed.
okay. Well, that's
It-
what I
it-
wanted to
It
clear
meets, it's exactly where it should be. I think
where it
we-
should be. Yes.
I think we might
Okay.
have pulled it back 16,
Okay, very
but
good.
it's, it meets their CRCA's criteria.
Okay. So will we need a mover in a second or to move this part along, or what are we doing here?
So I can amend the resolution. So right now, the resolution says that application D 13-2024-039 be approved subject to the conditions as included in the planner's report and the decision of the committee. And then I can put and that the committee recommend to council that the fee paid by the applicant for application D 13, and that the committee recommend to council that the fee paid for application D 13-2024-039 be refunded to the applicant. That is what I'm hearing that you would like.
Yes.
done.
Sorry, thank you. Just for some additional clarification that would be helpful in terms of going to council, it might be helpful just to include something or some wording in the addendum piece around to address procedural oversight in the original decision or to correct a procedural
We can take some of the
oversight.
blame for that.
Yeah,
That's- I
just
know.
that help, because council's gonna ask for some rationale in terms of why it's appropriate. And I just think it would be helpful to, like, say, to address a procedural irregularity in the decision or something along those lines.
Sure. No.
Catherine?
Oh, I'm sorry, Catherine.
It's okay, I cut my flag up. From a procedural perspective, if we have it as one motion, I'm being picky here. If we had it as one motion instead of two, will that, in a sense, engage council with the substance of our decision with regard to the variance?
Through you, no, the committee's quasi judicial, that's fine. No, it's only the second piece of it that we would take to council.
Thank you.
Good question, Catherine. That's good. Anybody else? Anybody else with anything?
Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I just had one question. The day of the last hearing, when we said we were gonna defer it, at that time, and this isn't for me, this is done. I appreciate everything you guys have done from staff to the committee. But instead of saying that we should have deferred it that day to August or whenever the next meeting we could come in, and I said, well, that could be 8 weeks and we have a short season. Why didn't we just amend it at that time? There was never talk of that we could amend it. It was always just defer it to the next meeting. Pass the docking portion of it and then defer it to the next meeting. If you watch the video, that's what was said. So that's when I jumped in and said, short season, I don't want to. So I think for future, if it's able to be amended right here in front of you guys, it might help a lot more applicants in the future.
I'm going to answer you on that. I've been at this quite a while and I don't think or I have never remember us ever having done it. That would be why. That's why if you remember, I had said for a deferral, like if you defer it, well, here we are, a month is gone by. And if we defer it, you don't have to pay the fees. And I understand what you meant. You wanted to try and move it ahead so you could go ahead and use it with the short season, eh? But time marches along anyway.
Yeah.
But like I said, I've been at this, I think 14 years. I've never seen us do that in a meeting. That's probably why, Jeff, I had said maybe we should defer it. Okay. So, Secretary, have you got everything ready for us there now?
1 second, we're just looking at the resolution.
Yep.
Writing.
We're ready to go, or do you have to read it? Yep. Oh. Read it. Okay, but I go ahead and give it over to second first, right? Yep. Yep, you bet. Okay, need a mover and a second. Move this along. Catherine and Paul. Move.
Who said it?
Catherine and Paul. So do I have to initial it? Okay, it's been moved by Catherine and seconded by Paul that application D 13-2024 039 be approved, subject to the conditions as included in the planner's report and the decision of the committee, and that the committee recommend to council that the fee paid for the application 039 be refunded to the applicant to correct a procedural irregularity in the process. So are we ready to vote?
Bruce, yes.
Catherine, yes?
Yes.
Todd, yes.
I am yes also. Carried.
Thank you all.
Nope. Should sign that one. Oh, yeah, we had, where are we? Oh, yeah. Okay, other business. We have a discussion on township insurance for committee members.
Yep.
You, Marnie? Yes.
thanks,
Sorry about that.
No problem. Shouldn't take very long. So based on our previous discussions, I followed up with our treasurer and our insurance company. And so we did have liability insurance. All committee members have the liability insurance, but there was no personal injury coverage for accidents. So that only applied to council. We did receive a quote, and I've gone ahead and authorized that personal accident coverage be extended to Committee of Adjustment members. So we now have that rider on our policy. So the committee now has accidental coverage in the event that there is an accident when you're on committee business.
Okay, very good.
And then the only other thing I wanted in talking about that, we had some further discussions around water visits and that type of thing. So when we arrange an island visit and a boat ride, we make sure and advise the person that's driving the boat that there needs to be enough life jackets on board for the committee members. It's important that the committee members wear their life jackets when they're on the boat. So I just wanted to bring that forward as well, just because insurance is all about risk and damages.
It's not just a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay. What's any other questions?
Any questions? I'd be happy to answer them. I don't know that it's specific in terms of the values associated with it, but it's the same insurance that would extend to our council members now applies to the committee members.
Okay, you. No, check to make sure I didn't forget something else here. There's nothing else, I don't think, eh? No, so we need a second mover and a seconder to adjourn. Look, we got lots of hands, eh? Yeah, Todd and Catherine. Yeah, everybody in favor?
Bruce, yes.
Oh, I have to read it. And moved by Todd and seconded by Catherine that the Committee of Adjustment will adjourn to meet again at the call of our Secretary Treasurer, Bruce.
Yes.
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 I am also, thank you, Carrie. it.